Small towns have a way of holding on to their secrets. Maybe it's because everyone knows everyone, and the idea of something truly evil lurking among friendly neighbors is too much to accept. Or maybe it's because some stories are too horrifying to be told out loud. Tonight, I bring you 3 true small-town horror stories. Accounts so chilling they'll make you think twice about those quiet little places that seem so safe. Turn off the lights, lock the doors, and remember, sometimes the scariest things don't come from the shadows. They come from people you thought you knew. Kevin had lived in Pine Hollow his whole life. A sleepy town with a single main road, a gas station, and a diner where everyone gathered on Sundays. He loved it there, until he met her. It started when Kevin and his dog Max took their usual evening walks near the woods on the edge of town. The woods weren't eerie, not at first. They were just there, part of the town's backdrop, a place people went hunting or hiking. But one night, Max stopped dead in his tracks, growling at something unseen between the trees. Kevin squinted into the darkness and saw movement, a figure barely visible standing just beyond the tree line. A woman. She was pale, her clothes tattered, her long hair hanging in knotted strands over her face. Kevin's gut told him to turn around, but curiosity got the better of him. "Ma'am, you okay?" The woman didn't move. Then, just as Kevin was about to step closer, she grinned, a wide, unnatural grin, her teeth reflecting the dim glow of the streetlights. Max whimpered and bolted home, nearly pulling Kevin's arm out of its socket. He turned to follow, but when he looked back, the woman was gone. That night, Kevin couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. And when he finally fell asleep, he had the most horrible dream. In the dream, he was standing in those woods, staring at the woman. But this time, he could see her clearly. Her eyes were black pits, her mouth stretching too wide. She whispered something in a garbled voice, words he couldn't understand. Then he woke up, and standing outside his bedroom window was the woman. Kevin screamed. But by the time his parents rushed in, she was gone. Over the next few days, Kevin heard whispers from the older folks in town. The widow of Pine Hollow, they called her. A woman who had disappeared in the 1940s after her husband was found dead in those very woods. Some said she never left. Kevin never walked near those woods again. But sometimes, on especially quiet nights, he swore he could hear faint whispers drifting from the trees, and if he listened closely, he could almost make out his own name. Every town has that house, the one parents warn their kids about, the one that sits empty for too long. In Maplewood, that house was at the end of Birch Road. It had been abandoned for years. No one mowed the lawn, no one fixed the broken windows. But sometimes, late at night, a single light would glow from an upstairs window. Jake and his friends were idiots. At 17, they thought they were invincible. So when a classmate dared them to spend the night in the house, they laughed it off. "It's just an old house," Jake had said. They brought flashlights, sleeping bags, and a camcorder. It was supposed to be a joke, but the second they stepped inside, something felt wrong. The air was thick with dust and something else, something rotting. The walls were covered in strange scratches like claw marks, but the worst part, the house, wasn't empty. It started with footsteps, heavy, deliberate, coming from the second floor. "Hello?" One of the guys called out. No answer. Then the whispers started. Soft at first, barely noticeable, then clear as day, right behind them. "Get out." They bolted. But just as they reached the door, Jake turned back, and standing at the top of the staircase was a man. His eyes were hollow, his mouth hung open in a silent scream, and his skin was the sickly grayish color of something long dead. Jake never talked about what he saw that night. But the house, it burned down 6 months later. No one ever found out how the fire started, or why, in the ashes of the basement, they found 14 human teeth. Ethan was driving home late one night, the highway stretching endlessly before him, empty and silent. It was raining. That's when he saw him, a man standing in the ditch on the side of the road. Ethan slowed down. The man wasn't waving for help. He was just standing there. But something wasn't right. His posture was too stiff. His head was tilted at an unnatural angle, and his eyes looked wrong. Ethan's instincts screamed at him to keep driving. But as he passed something impossible happened. The man smiled. Not a normal smile. A too wide, too stretched, unnatural smile. And then, the man blinked out of existence. Ethan slammed on the brakes, his heart hammering. He checked his mirrors. The man was gone. Shaken, Ethan drove home, locked every door, and told himself it was just exhaustion. But the next morning, when he checked his car, there were wet handprints on his back window, and in the condensation of the glass, as if traced by an unseen finger, were the words, "See you soon. Small towns are supposed to be safe, but sometimes the quietest places hold the darkest secrets. Maybe that's why, even when the sun is shining, some shadows never go away. Sleep well."